News. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has raised hopes of students that it is close to calling off the ongoing strike action that has lasted for over 4 months. ASU has therefore issued a condition that will cause it to immediately call off the strike that led to the closure of many public universities in Nigeria. Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, ASU president, challenged the federal government to accept the University Transparency and Accountability Solution UTAS payment platform for it to call off the ongoing strike. Professor Oshodeke said the strike will continue unless the government accepts UTAS and honor the 2009 agreement. The ASU president said their demands are in the interest of Nigerian students who are learning under unconducive environments. ASU has been at loggerheads with the federal government for over 3 years over its refusal to honor the 2009 agreement it entered with the union. Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has said the federal government's promise of immediate reply to its submission to the committee set up to negotiate with it has not been fulfilled nearly a month after. The union has also called on well-meaning citizens of the country to take the government to task on how it is handling the running of universities and education generally in the country. The national president of ASU, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, made this known recently. This is just as Professor Nimi Briggs, who led the committee set up by the federal government to renegotiate the 2009 agreement with ASU, said he will not know what is causing the delay in the government making its stance known on the report submitted to it. The ASU president noted that education system should be adequately funded, facilities improved on, and that education as a right should not be taken away from the average citizen. He said the ball is in the court of federal government, and when the right thing is done, it will be beneficial to all, while the society will be better for it. ASU has been on strike since February 14 this year. The Batch B Stream 1 Corps members have successfully completed their mandatory 21 days orientation course and ready for the next phase of the service year. The Corps members, during the closing ceremony held at the NYC Orientation Camp, Shagamu, were urged to sustain the spirit of patriotism, hard work and resilience which they imbibed during their orientation course, and also contribute towards the progress and development of the state and their fatherland. Our reporter, Tumininu Babashola, has more details in this package. His report.
And which is very only in empowering you to be self-reliant. My dear comrades, as you continue to your place of primary assignment, I urge you to be security conscious at all times. You should avoid acts that can endanger your life, such as failing at the race, attending like parties, visitation of dangerous places, and acceptance of car rights from different strangers.
She further reminded them of their oath of allegiance to accept their posting in good faith, and enjoined them to perform their duties and be guided by the provision of NYSC Act and bylaws.
I consider it appropriate to once again appeal to car employers to accept the services of these commanders that will bring your sense of opportunity for post-camp training, and which will go a long way in empowering you to be self-reliant. My dear commanders, as you proceed to your place of primary assignment, I urge you to be security conscious at all times. You should avoid acts that can endanger your life, such as failing out late, attending night parties, visitation of dangerous places.
The Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Mohammed Fadat, has urged employers of labor to accept corps members posted to their organizations. He noted that they should take seriously the welfare, security of life and property of corps members, stressing that it would encourage them to be committed. Fadad made this appeal during the closing ceremony of the Batch B Stream 1 Corps members at the temporary orientation camp, Amada Ako, local government area of Gombe State. According to Fadad, employers should provide an enabling environment for the Corps members to thrive, reminding the 1,240 Corps members of the need to exhibit the best behavior. While commenting on the next phase of life for the 1,240 Batch B Stream 1 Corps members, the DG emphasized the need to show patriotism to the country and the immediate environment, hoping that defaulters will be meted with appropriate punishments. The Judicial Commission of Inquiry to review land allocation and documentation, as well as various illegal land dealings in Ogun State, has called for memoranda from concerned parties, agencies, and all other interested persons. The memoranda to be submitted must be in 10 hard copies of typewritten petitions in 14 font size and double-spaced, as well as soft copy of the same forwarded through email to ogunjudecomlands@gmail.com not later than Wednesday, 20th July 2022. A statement by the Secretary to the Commission, James Olubankole Mafe, has it that all memoranda should reach the Commission through the Secretary within 14 days from the date of the announcement. The statement adds that petitioners may either appear physically or virtually, noting that the Commission would also allow petitioners to be represented before the Commission during its public hearing to orally support the memoranda. Said that any other suggestions and recommendations that would assist the state government in all other related matters will be attended to, noting that dates of the public hearing will be communicated to the parties. The memorandum must include names and addresses, as well as contact phone numbers, email of petitioners and witnesses. The memoranda should be addressed to the Secretary, Judicial Commission of Inquiry on Land Allocation in care of Ministry of Justice, Conference Room, State Secretariat Complex, Ukimoso, Abeokuta. An accomplished judicial research officers must be open-minded and must also adopt a critical way of thinking. The Chief Judge of Ogun State, Honorable Justice Mosumola Dipeolu, stated this at the opening of a two-day inaugural conference organized by the Judicial Research Officers of the State High Court. Elizabeth Esson witnessed the conference held at the Ceremonial Court of the Judiciary Complex, Kobakbe Road, Abeokuta. Her report.
A judicial research officer is the judge's aide and right hand. Its responsibilities include keeping abreast of the law and latest judgment, noting latest legal positions of the Apex Court. He or she also assists in compiling materials for judgments. The clearing opened the inaugural conference organized by the Ogun State Judicial Research Officers with the theme, The Accomplished Research Officer in Contemporary Nigeria. The Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Mosumola Dipeolu, commended the officers for living up to expectation of their designation in the state judiciary.
A modern researcher must be resourceful and inventive. He should be a votary of truth. Truth should be his goal. He should be able to dispel prejudice. He should not have any preconceived notion. Rather, he should maintain objectivity while gathering information which must be done accurately.
Honorable Justice Dipeolu therefore urged them to avail themselves the opportunity of various papers to be delivered at the conference by selected judges and the state judiciary to improve themselves. Earlier in his welcome address, the Chairman Judicial Research Officers Ogun State, Tola Arawomo, commended the state judiciary for pursuing the designation of judicial assistants as permanent staff with a scheme of work, career progression, research aids to improve responsibilities and relevant allowances.
Judicial Research Officer of the permanent status was a threshold event, a landmark and journey as part of the workforce of the Ogun State Judiciary. Those who were designated as items to be sold in order to buy land tax now become those who are looked upon under the free use of that land. that will give you a huge turnaround for us. It is not taken lightly at all. We say a huge thank you.
The conference also afforded the research officers an opportunity to interact with the Chief Judge on issues bordering on their job and duty posts. Elizabeth Son, OGTV News.
The acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ademola Ariwola, says the Nigerian Bar Association has a burden to ensure that legal practitioners keep to the ethics of the profession for proper administration of justice. He made this submission at the Nigerian Bar Association session on Legal Practice 2022 annual conference held in Asaba, Delta State. The acting CJN noted that the challenges of the legal profession were self-inflicted and the conference should utilize this opportunity to address some setbacks facing the profession.
We are all aware that the administration of justice rests on a tripod: the courts, the litigants, and the legal practitioners. Any counsel appearing before a court of law is statutorily and professionally an officer of the court. There is no concealing the fact that the NBA SLP occupies a very critical place in this association by reason of the fact that majority of the members of the NBA are engaged in dispute resolution practice, whether solely as litigation practitioners or in alternative dispute resolution practice.
The Nigerian Bar Association, as an umbrella body for all legal practitioners in Nigeria, has over the years solidified into a formidable institution.
The Delta State government is working to provide a framework under which the judiciary and the legal profession can respond positively to these challenges. Then, in the year 2021, I signed into law the Delta State Judiciary Fund Management.
The theme of the conference is Legal Practice, Our Reality, Our Future. Still ahead, federal government seeks further cooperation of states on ranching in ending perennial farmers herdsmen clashes. Join us for details of these and more after the break. Stay with us.
One of the reasons why I started Munira, I wanted to make people feel good about what they were. I lost my dad in 2008.
The day when the man died, I don't want to remember. School fees called the hard us. Things you know called go for me too.
My journey with MTN started in 2014. I remember the night I told my mom I had gotten the scholarship. It was midnight. I went to the room, I woke her up and I said, I've gotten a scholarship.
Oh, happy. Neighbor week.
The tagline for the YEDP program was Turn It Up. The funding has helped me turn my dream on. My ambition is to be successful, impact lives, and generally just make people happy.
Glad to have you back. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has said the advent of the Russia-Ukraine conflict as well as other economic challenges in West Africa, hard work is expected of the new leadership of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, shared by Guinea-Bissau President Sissoko Embalo. According to a statement by his Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Laolu Akonde, Vice President Osinbajo stated this while speaking with journalists at the end of the 61st Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS held in Accra, Ghana. According to him, there are high expectations regarding the output of the body and its leaders must work harder to resolve lingering issues in the region. Speaking on the immediate past chairman and Ghanaian leader He said President Nana Akufo-Addo did an excellent job in a very challenging period in the history of ECOWAS, and many of the challenges remain, but regional bloc expect that the new leadership will take over and work as hard and perhaps much harder to resolve some of the issues. Vice President Osinbajo said there are even additional challenges today, which include economic challenges, especially with the Russian-Ukrainian crisis. Nothing other issues are the coups that have taken place in the region in the past couple of years, with efforts to resolve some of those issues. The statement concludes that the new leadership under President Sissoko Embalo must set up efforts and address those very many responsibilities that the region faces today. Vice President Osinbajo, however, also added that besides the challenges, the region is witnessing appreciable progress in the ECOWAS common currency policy, noting that there are things the region should be happy about. Cultism is one of the major vices confronting the Nigerian educational sector today. The activities of these groups in higher institutions have become a smear on the proper development of the Nigerian youth. In this special report, Sheyi Alao met stakeholders to discuss the way out. His report.
Fraternities in universities began as far back as 1952. In those days, members had the sole aim of maintaining laws and order, advocate against the discrimination and oppression of the poor in the society. However, these days, the ideology has changed and cultism has become a social menace linked with the acts of violence and crimes.
The younger generation got it wrong by taking cult to the extreme, to the extent that they now use it as a means of trying to kill one another, of trying to vest their anger, of trying to show some things that are not good in the society.
Well, in those days, it's not that we don't have pirates at Ife. The pirates were doing things on their own. They are not violent people. It's just like fraternity.
Research has it that cultism is no longer restricted to tertiary institutions, as the menace has spread to neighborhoods, streets, primary and secondary schools. According to reports, in 2013, 11 students were arrested by the Ondo State Police Command for cultism, while in 2016, police in Delta State apprehended 28 primary and secondary school pupils aged between 13 and 16 for cultism. Respondents attributed the development to bad associations, ego, lack of parental monitoring, societal problems, and emulating parents who are cultists, among others.
The 85 experience at Obafe Maolo University, where the student union leaders 5 were assassinated in cold blood. It was an unfortunate situation.
Where the thing went wrong was when you start seeing these artisans and some other people now trying to join cults. They didn't understand the objective.
Respondents stated that the solution to cultism in Nigeria is to return to family values like mutual respect, compassion, integrity, and contentment.
Parent has a lot of role to play to nip at the board the practice or the actions of cultism. They should not leave the role to teachers alone.
Train your children and they will give you rest. A situation where we now outsource the growing of children to teachers alone. In those days, community brings up the children.
The universities, according to them, must create enough awareness on the evil of cultism and the negative impact of the vices on the nation at large. Sheyi Alao, OGTV News.
State policing will be a significant step in the quest to improve security in the country, as policing is far too centralized and monolithic in a diverse multi-ethnic federation as Nigeria. This was a submission of some Nigerians who spoke with OGTV News while speaking on the current state of the nation's security. Benga Adekoya's report is presented in this package.
The growing state of insecurity in Nigeria and recently the rise of the unknown gunmen attacking innocent citizens have been source of concern for stakeholders in the country. Hence, the need for government at all levels to wake up to their responsibility in finding a lasting solution to it through constitutional reforms. The chairman of Ogun State Police Community Relations Committee (PCRC), Venerable Samson Pokwola, argued that it is impossible for a police force based in Abuja to adequately understand and determine security priorities in cities, towns and villages which have varying policing needs and concerns, saying state police is the way out.
State policing is the way to go, but we must have the political will to be able to do it. You know, the country is ripe for state policing, but I'm not sure our political leaders are ripe for it. So we need to work on our political leaders, you know, because the fear of the federal government is the issue of manipulating that state police and using them for their own political end. That is the fear that the federal government have. So if we work on our political leadership to see that the security of the people should be paramount, rather than seeing the apparatus of state police as, you know, an extended arm of the political party, but rather as a people organization that's supposed to protect the people, then I know that the federal government will be positively disposed to having it. But I think the country is ripe for state police.
For Professor Akin Onimide, a professor of philosophy, policing is largely local in almost every other part of the world, and state policing will largely eliminate the so-called stranger policing and put an end to the current state of the nation's insecurity.
Until we get it right by ensuring that we get that police, state police, local police, we are just going to keep deceiving ourselves. State police is it's the way out. I'm not going to say it's the solution, absolute solution to it, but it's the way out. You've got to start from somewhere. You can't keep on bringing strangers to come and police an environment. In fact, they will mislead him. He doesn't even know the environment.
Respondent opined that under that structure of state policing, local officers with on-the-ground knowledge will be free to allocate resources without priorities and decision-making from central planners.
The only means that scholars have propounded, recommended for us to reduce or as possible address this matter or alarming rate of insecurity is to go through community policing. And community policing, I'm talking about not just state policing, to have a community-based security network that will synergize with the state policing, state security apparatus to ensure that there is harmony and peace.
They, however, admonished federal government to look into the approval of state policing to collectively bring an end to the issues of insecurity in the nation.
The federal government has restated its appeal to the state to cooperate in ensuring that herders embrace ranching and ending the perennial farmers-herdsmen clashes. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, restated the appeal in London during his engagement with some international media houses. The minister is in London to engage the international media and think tank on the progress the administration is making in various endeavors. Speaking on the outcome of his respective engagements, the minister said issues on security, economy, fighting corruption, and power sector took the center stage. Mohammed said the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has been able to find workable solutions to the perennial farmers-herdsmen conflicts worsened by climate change, forest desertification, and demographic growth. The minister said the administration had taken very bold transformation steps to open up the economy. The Kano State government says it is targeting 12 million children below the age of 5 years for the July to October round of the seasonal malaria chemo prevention exercise in 44 local government areas of the state. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Aminu Sanyawa, made this known at a news conference in Kano ahead of the exercise. He said that the exercise will be conducted on a house-to-house basis to ensure coverage. Sanyawa stressed that the 4-day exercise will be conducted alongside the annual Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Week. The aim, he said, was to prevent complicated and severe malaria incidences among the age group. He highlighted that the previous exercise conducted in January 2022 recorded huge success with vitamin A covering more than 88%. Sanyawa expressed optimism that the current round of the exercise will also achieve greater impact considering the government's increased support. The World Health Organization (WHO) said on Tuesday that 5,322 laboratory confirmed cases of monkeypox had been reported to it in the current outbreak, 85% of which are in Europe. Though case numbers are rapidly increasing, the United Nations Health Agency has not set a date for its emergency committee on monkeypox to convene for a second meeting. The number has increased by 56% in 8 days. The previous figure given by the WHO for the period up to June 2022 was 3,413 cases. A surge in monkeypox cases has been reported since early May outside the West and Central African countries where the disease has long been endemic. Over 4 billion naira has been disbursed to the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory for the education of children with special needs within 3 years. This was contained in the document obtained by the Universal Basic Education Commission (UBEC) in its latest update. The National Policy on Education, designed by the Federal Ministry of Education, categorized children with visual and hearing impairments, physical and health impairment, intellectual disability, emotional and behavioral disorder, speech and language impairments, learning disabilities, multiple disabilities, gifted and talented, as well as people living with albinism as people of special needs. In the document, UBEC noted that it disbursed a total of over 40 billion naira between 2016 and 2018. In 2016, each state and the FCT got over 47 million naira, while in 2017, states and FCT obtained over 30 million naira each. The disbursement was increased in 2018, with each state and the FCT obtaining a total of over 36 million naira each. So far, only 1,177 full-fledged special needs schools exist in the country, with Kano having 153, Kaduna 79, and Lagos 75 having the highest number of special needs schools. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has condemned the non-appearance of top officials of the federal government before the ad hoc committee on the volume of fuel consumed daily in Nigeria as its investigative hearing in Abuja. Speaker Gbajabiamila particularly called out the Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, and Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. Others are the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, formerly Group Managing Director of the defunct Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Nelly Kyari, as well as the Managing Director of Petroleum Pipeline Marketing Company, Ishako Abdullahi, among others. Consequently, the committee, chaired by Abdulkadir Abdullahi, summoned the GMD of the NNPC, MD of the PPMC, Accountant General of the Federation, the CBN Governor, Minister of State and Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Minister of Finance and Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance. The Speaker, who was represented by the Deputy Majority Leader, Peter Apatosin, was miffed by the fact that most of the critical stakeholders were absent from the hearing, while those sent to represent a few of them were officials whose cadres were lower than those required to answer questions on behalf of their organizations. The Minister of Communication and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has said that the federal government cannot at the moment remove subsidies on the premium motor spirit PMC, popularly called petrol. Mohammed, who spoke during an exclusive interview in London, said many other nations were introducing measures to help citizens cope with high oil energy prices. Hence, Africa's most populous country could not be an exception. Nigeria is Africa's largest oil exporter, but still has to import almost all its fuel needs due to a lack of refining capacity. The federal government shelved plans to abolish fuel subsidies earlier this year, a move that raised concerns with the International Monetary Fund, IMF. The minister believes that a new industry law that allocates money to oil-producing communities will stop attacks, and blamed the European Union's climate change policies for stifling investment in the sector. He noted that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has made progress against Boko Haram since 2015. Business News is next to join us after the break.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The federal government believes Africa's huge infrastructure gaps as opportunities for private investment through public and private partnerships. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, while declaring open the Africa Public-Private Partnership Network Investment Summit in Abuja, said all sectors of the economy are yearning for the investment. Policymakers, public servants, private sector players, and all who matter in the infrastructure space are represented at the summit. Africa's private sector companies account for more than 80% of total productions, but there are still a lot to do if the continent must make the best of the free trade agreement promoting competition. Nigeria and South Africa are already benefiting from PPP arrangements in the country. The federal government has developed and issued an insurance guideline to drive the retention of oil sector financial spending in Nigeria and help reverse capital flight. Speaking on the topic, strengthening Nigerian content implementation with the 7 ministerial regulations at the ongoing Nigeria Oil and Gas Conference in Abuja, the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Content Development and Monitoring Board, Simbi Wabute, said the guideline was in accordance with the law. Wabute explained that the guideline would also help to create a database of all insurance programs procured by operators, project promoters, alliance partners, and Nigerian indigenous companies to enable the board to monitor utilization of in-country insurance capacity. The federal government has approved a governing board for the Nigeria Electricity Liability Management Company Limited. It announced these in a statement issued in Abuja by the Head Public Communications Bureau of Public Enterprises, Ibe Chidi. The BPE named the head of the new board as the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. It outlined other members of the board to include the Minister of Power, Aliyu Abubakar, Director General BPE Alex Oko, and Director General Debt Management Office Patience Unia. In order to boost the adoption of sustainable climate-smart agriculture and renewable energy in Nigeria and grow the country's economy, the European Union has unveiled the Team Europe Initiative Nigeria Green Economy Project, committing about £1.3 billion. The project was inaugurated by the EU Ambassador to Nigeria and Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Ms. Samuela Isopi, as the 8th EU-Nigeria Business Forum tagged Nigeria and the new economy in Lagos. According to ISOPI, the initiative, which aims to improve the competitive advantage of Nigeria's agriculture and energy sectors, consists of 60 projects to be completed by 2027. She noted that the project objectives will be achieved through the collaborative efforts of the EU member states, which include Denmark, France, Germany, and the Netherlands, including private and public sectors and development financial institutions, FDIs. And lastly, on the business segment of the news, the exchange rate between the Naira and the US dollar closed at 425 Naira per dollar at the investors and exporters window, representing the lowest level recorded year to date. Naira depreciated further against the US dollar on Monday, starting the week with a 0.18% depreciation to close at 425 Naira per dollar, compared to 425 Naira per dollar recorded in the previous trading sessions. In the same vein, the total forex supply declined by 39% to $47.56 million, the lowest in 2 weeks. The external reserve had been on downward trend due to the continuous intervention by the Central Bank of Nigeria in foreign exchange market in order to ensure the stability of the local currency. And that's the size of the business segment of the news. Many thanks for watching, and you're back to Yabo for the rest of the bulletin.